So he does a lot of our recruiting and technical screening, and I am the relationship side to the Freddy Mac managers.
So you work with Apex, not with Freddy Mac, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
With Apex. So I'm the other half of the team that would be helping you out.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Awesome. Awesome. So how long do you think the interview is gonna be?
Um, they usually do around 45 minutes to an hour. Just kind of depends on the questioning that they go through with you. Obviously, it's a mix of technical questions on your experience within Java and Appian, and then also they'll give you a chance at the end, obviously, to ask questions about their team or Freddie Mac or whatnot.
Sure, sure. So yeah, I have a good understanding what.
It's supposed to be nice here in Virginia, so it's going to be like 75 and sunny. I have 2 kids, so the more we're outside, the easier it is to keep them moving.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just bought a new house on Springfield, and my mom loves that area. It's very, very suburban where we are, and it's just all kids running around playing games and just like just really suburban feeling compared to Arlington and DC.
Yeah, absolutely. We're out. I'm out in the boonies too. I'm kind of way far out towards Dulles Airport, so lots of places for the kids to run and play.
That's good. That's good.
Do you have any fun plans yourself?
Yeah, I was looking for places in Herndon and Reston too. It's just the housing market is horrible right now. We wrote like probably 30 offers, and my friends wrote probably 55 offers and nothing.
Wow.
So it's a really horrible market, especially for first time buyers. It's just yeah, like there's no wiggle room there.
No, there really isn't. It's a tough market.
Yeah, it's really bad market right now. Yeah.
Hey, it's Naeem. How are you doing?
Hi, Naeem.
¿Tienes todo lo que
Hey,
necesitas,
Megan.
mami? Tienes todo lo que necesitas, ¿no? Ok, te cuidas.
So,
Hablamos más rato.
Sahil won't be joining. He said he'll be joining. Actually, he said he'll be joining a few minutes late.
Okay.
So we can get started. Mehdi, you are here as well, I see.
Yeah.
Hey, Sergio.
How's it going? How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, just getting excited for the weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
Couple more hours to go.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the last hour of the day.
Yep. Great. I'll let you guys get started. Sahil's joining late. I'll just go on mute so y'all can chat.
Sure.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. So yep, Mehdi, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi. Okay, so what version of Appian have you used or currently using?
I'm currently using 21.1.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have experience with 17.1, so that's when I started using 17.1.
Okay. Can you tell?
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you tell us about yourself, like the experience you have in Appian and everything?
Sure. So I've been working with Appian for coming out 40 years already. I graduated from George Mason University, and as soon as I graduated from George Mason University, I got recruited by CollaboraLink to be, an Appian developer. I got sent out to Reston, where the headquarters used to be, and got trained in the tools that were needed at that time. And at that time, we were still relying on cell interfaces, and we had some of the very basic tools that else can, like that can be implemented on the other side. Then my first one, once we got finished training on Appian, we had I got my first project with DOL, where I was just helping out creating some basic grids on the CSEP projects and ETA programs. Then after that, I was just working with Department of Education, like that was grabbing some data from the like the local areas to grab and kind of like mix up the like different types of the demographics for the kids. Also, after that, I worked for the FDA, which that was under SAIC. That was more like a production side where there were like production tickets on like different types of severity levels. We had CCRs, we had like production tickets. We also worked with Appian on the side that was making calls on the SOA web services and working on the server. Then last year I was working with um, Ignite, Ignite Group, and they were working with the NIH, National Institute of Health, where we were doing a development of a tool from scratch called STARS. So this tool was going to be integrated with different types of vendors, and it was a lot of heavy integration level where we had like 3 teams, and I was one of the tech leads on this team.
Okay. So yeah, you have a lot of experience with Appian.
Yeah, I work a lot with Appian. Yeah, that's
right. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you like basic stuff. You have can you tell me the difference between action, related action?
Sure. So related action is just an action that a record can take to manipulate and start a process model. You can start a process model via a link or a button, but it's not really gonna like pop out or come out. So the correct way is to always use related actions on records, and actions on the sense that are like expression rules. Those are basically the methods version of Appian that you will have in Java.
Actions are what? Can you explain about action?
Yeah, like so, when you take action within a method, those are like the versions of expression rules, and expression rules are nothing but the version of methods on Java.
So you say that related action are from the record, correct?
You're
taking action on a certain record, but actions are, if you have the action tab, you have a list of action that you start, correct?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
From the action tab on the tempo, or from action you just start a new process, correct?
I'm not following. I'm sorry.
Okay, so how do you set the security on action and related action?
Okay, so to set up security on a related action, there are several ways to do it. Starting with 21.1, you can just inherit the security that you have in an application, or you can specify the like who can see this related action according to groups or users. You shouldn't be doing users. You always use groups. So is that what you mean?
Yeah. So you said the visibility and everything, correct? But the related action.
Yeah, that would be like the main way to do it. Also, you can like do it on interfaces, on records. You can put actions on everything. But at the end of the day, if you're hiding a related action, you can do something as little as just hide the button from like a show when login user in this members group, or you can just like have it in a bigger perspective by the application or like the interface.
Okay, so if you have you worked on the tempo or site?
Yes, I have worked on both tempos and sites. Yeah.
Okay, so in tempo you have action, correct?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yes. 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 Okay. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you set security on the actions? Let's say you want to give, um, let's say, some action that says inter-employee data or something, and you want to give it to two groups. How do you set it? Where do you set the security?
Um. I never work with those actions, to be honest. Like the most I work on the tempo side was on reports. Actions where if I'm not mistaken, that like I remember that from my training class. It's like you say, it is to update the process model using uh like you it's updating the database using a process model, and to create the security of those, it will have to be with what's it called, like the designer, yeah, the designer. So that's where all the actions are at the moment. You can create actions in there. That's right.
Okay, so you create the action, and then the action
I
is a
haven't. I
process model,
just
correct?
created action that
Okay,
one
never.
time when I was
Okay,
training. Yeah,
okay.
because
I mean that's a bit.
because most times nobody uses tempo like that. Everybody, everywhere that I work at, they use like Appian as an integrated system, so they're using the records or reports or even tasks. But I haven't worked somewhere where actions were actually a dependency of it. The same thing with news posts. Nobody where I work at, they use news pods. The only time I use actions is where I was doing my Appian training.
Okay, but I think okay, that should be good. Can you explain like what are local variables, rule input, process variables?
So it all has to do with like scope visibility on the server. So it has to do with memory, right? So local variables are going to be alive only when that interface is being displayed on Appian. So when you are displaying an interface, those local variables are going to be alive. When you are running like an entire process model, the PBs are going to be alive during that entire time the process model is going to be running. So if you have a very high process, system that has processes that are like running for days and days, it's recommended to save everything on local variables rather than process variables, unless you wanna have those process variables like running for like weeks rather than saving a space on the like the database. You want them to be like approach faster by other tasks. Rule inputs is what helps you connect process variables with your interface. So that's how you get them to display on the interface and also save on the interface. So anything you need to save it, you need to save it on a rule input so it can be then laid and saved in a PV.
Okay. What are activity class parameters?
Active class parameters, they're just the same thing. They're just parameters or variables that are going to be alive on the life of that specific node. So again, if you have a big process model and you have like four different nodes, the ACs are just going to be alive for the portion of each node. So you don't want to hold useless information. You want to just hold the information that you're going to need.
Okay. Um, the same that like if you have in the interface, can you explain the load and ways if you have a local variable in load and if you have it in width, what is the difference?
Yeah, so a load variable is gonna be uploaded the first time the interface gets uploaded, and the width is gonna be it's gonna have like a bigger refresh scope where it can be refreshed every time there is like a manipulation within the interface. So every time there is a change within a variable, the with variable will get updated.
Okay, so what is the impact if you have like let's say you have a query in the inside a Wiz that has if you have to query big data like inside a Wiz, what is the impact?
Yeah, if you query within the with, it's gonna be very heavy on the um, on the interface manipulation, because every time somebody is gonna make a change on a variable, the query is gonna get called over and over and over again, rather than just one single time. But
Okay.
if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do.
Okay. Um.
Any other question? Just think of anything.
Okay. Okay. So, what are the CDTs? And let's say if you want to write to the database, like what are the steps that you take? What smart services do you use from Appian?
Well, I guess for best practices is to first create the table on the database, then create the connection, whichever connection you're gonna get. But after that, build the CDT from the table, because you already have created a table. That is like, like letting Appian do it is always the best way to create a CDT. And after that, just update the DS to, like with the new entity, the new data store entity. But I learned that if you have a very agile environment, sometimes it's just better to create a CDT without any connection to the database, and just get some ideas for the customer to see, especially if you want to be able to display like a very complicated grid, or like like pie charts, just to visualize some things. So if you think the client is not sure of what he wants, it's better to do it that way than to create a table on the database and then later on find out that you have to redo your CDT. So depends, I guess.
Okay, so if there is no primary key on in the CDT defined, what happened? Like if Appian generate the primary key.
Okay, well, it's not gonna, the data store is gonna crash, and it's gonna tell you like, oh, missing primary ID, because you need to have a primary ID all the time in any CDT if you wanna be able to, like connect it with the data store.
Okay. Uh, our question is like if you have, let's say, production, if you have issues, how do you troubleshoot? How do you find like the issues? From where do you start? What do you look?
Yeah, obviously the easiest scenario will be like when you find, like a stock process instance. You go to that process instance and you start reading like the history. Make sure that all your variables are working the way they're supposed to work. Make sure that like there was no funky data that would brought up. Once in a while, like connection like with web services or integration gets timeout, so you can just restart a process variable. But then again, you cannot just go and restart a process instance without looking at what the variables are doing, because maybe Appian crashed because like there was like a big like entry input in one of the variables and it just crashed. So you don't want to like push that to the database, because then later on you're gonna have even more problems. So that is the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it is to go into your log pages, which are on Designer, and troubleshoot from there. Is there somewhere specifically that something happened in production? Like, do I know what it was, or or is this just a hypothetical, like thing?
Yeah. And okay, let's say that there is some process variable, the values was empty and failed, and you want to update that PV with a certain value, and then you want to restart. How do you do that?
Okay, so if I'm allowed to do that, and I'm
Mhm.
100% sure that the client is has the correct values of what it wants to do, you can always edit that a specific process variable. You can create like a little related action to update that specific value with what you want it to be. Like you run it, and then after that you save it and you restart the um, you will save that instance, edit on it, and when you save it, you will restart it, starting from that node that you created to change the value. And if it works correctly, it will just follow the flow that it's supposed to do. But then
Okay, do you
again,
save or do you say apply change?
uh,
So you say that you edit the process and
yeah,
then
the
you put the
process
value.
instance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you will save. Yeah, you will save, because yeah, like you wouldn't like if you are on the designer process model editor, and you're looking to that instance, you wouldn't be able to modify the process model directly, because you will be modifying um, the instant version of that process model, or process model instance, that instance. So
Okay.
if you want it, but yeah, but one thing that I learned is to be very careful with production, because the data over there is very important, and you don't wanna mess up and just like assume what value was supposed to be in there, should be the correct one. You should always talk to your uh, project manager, and like confirm that this is okay with the tech lead.
Okay. Name, you can go.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Maddie. Um, yeah, so I'll ask you some basic Appian questions that Maddie covered most of them.
Mhm.
Um, can you tell me the difference between a query role and query entity?
A variable entity and a query entity.
Query role and query entity. The
Query,
difference between those.
query rule and query entity. Um, I mean, when I'm thinking of a yeah, I think it has to do with the aggression and selection. Um, like the query entity isn't isn't query entity able to do both aggression and selection. And I'm not sure about the other one, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. Can you tell me the different types gateways that we have in Appian? Can you tell me what they are?
Sure, sure. So the most popular gateway is the XOR gateway, which means that it has one input, and it can have many outputs, but it has to select only one output. So another one is the AND gateway, where um, many inputs can come into it, and they all merge into an output. And then there's the OR output, where I'm assuming it's trying. I think it's trying to implement what do you call this, uh, asynchronizance, where many paths are taken at the same time. And that is when that's very helpful, especially if you're trying to do integration, and you are sending like 5 or 10 or 100 tasks to different users use an integration. and it's just sending out to kind of like whoever makes it first. Hmm.
Okay, got it. Um, can you have you used a sub process?
Yes, yes, I have called a sub process within a process model. Correct.
Okay, can you tell me when you're calling a sub process from a parent process, what are the steps you would take?
Okay, well, make sure that the sub process has the correct PVs that are gonna be, like that have like input option selected as yes, and um, then and that where and just plugging your input from the parent process into the sub process, like either using PVs to PVs or like rule output, or maybe like even like a constant to that input on inside your
So,
sub process.
so where are you mapping these inputs? Can you just explain to me like where exactly are you mapping it?
It's gonna be in the node. It's gonna be in the sub process model node on properties.
Okay. And have you used MNI? Do you know what that is?
Yes, multiple node inputs. I have used MNIs in the past. Yes.
Okay. And what is the? Just give me an example of why it's being. Why do we use MNI?
You will use MNIs to recreate a node several times. So if you want to assign, I guess, five tasks to five separate users, you will just create an array or enumerate five, which is an array that goes from 0 to 4, but you can say enumerate plus one, which then you will have an array with going like like John, Mark, Jose, Mike, and stuff. So you will have an array that's already like a constant, right? So you will say enumerate 5 plus 1 constant array, and it will go through every item and assign it to each user, using MNI.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you an operation question. So how do you ensure in-flight process instances aren't impacted when deploying to production?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. So when you're deploying to production, uh, any like production release that you're deploying, how do you ensure the in-flight process instance are not impacted?
So are we worried about the instances on production, or are we worried about the instances in pre-production?
In production. So let's say
Okay.
you have a couple of process instance from a process model that's already in flight. They're already pending, let's say, right? And then uh, maybe there's a couple of enhancements done in the same process model, and so when that's getting deployed, how do you show how do you ensure that they are not impacted? Like, are there any steps that you would take?
To be honest, my understanding is once a process instance is running, it's running. It doesn't matter if I update the parent process model. The thing that it will definitely impact it though will be the use of sub processes. So that has to be handled by each developer. So if a developer knows that it's updating a process instance that is getting called by a parent process called it um, that has called it as a child, then it needs to it needs to be modified in a way that it can work in both ways. I have seen on the past things like like if process instance is like version 2, then do this. If it's like process variable version 0 or 1, then do the other path. I also do know that most of the times that I have seen it, we try to do it over the weekend. So every time there is a an update or a fix, we try to do it on the weekend so that there isn't any process instance running at that time.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So I've seen in the past you worked in Java application as
That
a
is
Java
correct.
developer.
Yes, I work.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I'll just ask you some basic Java questions now.
Okay, let's see.
All right. Yes. Can you tell me the four different access modifiers in Java, and what are the difference between them?
No, I'm sorry, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't worked with access modifiers in Java.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking about like the public, private, protected, default.
Okay. Yeah, public, private, default, and um, yeah. I mean, I worked with Java like 3 years ago. That's what I remember. I don't remember too much of it. I didn't even refresh it.
Okay. Can you just tell me the difference between public and private?
Sure. So public, it means that anybody can have access to it, while private means that you have to have access from you have to either inherit access to it, or you can only call it within the same class. So the same class can call that. Um, you can access that private um, method on that same class. Nobody can call the class and get access to that private method. If the method was public, that means somebody can call the class and have access to that method. That's my understanding so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so if a class is public
Okay.
and if that class is in a different package, can it be accessible?
If the class is public and if it's in a different packages, public. If the class is public and if it's in a different package, can it be accessible? Yes, I believe we should.
Okay. Uh, can you tell me what is method overloading?
Method overloading is where you can have different signatures of the same method. So you can have some integer x, integer y, and you can have some integer x, integer y, and floating point like 2 or double 2. So you can have different method signatures as long as the parameters are different. Is that
Okay.
correct? Is that
And
right?
what is method overriding?
Method overriding is when the signature is exactly the same, but you are overriding the parent method. So if the superclass it has, let's say, like a sum one and a, and it was adding like two integers, but then you want to create the same thing, and you want to I don't know, like you want to add like an ampersand or return a boolean or whatever. So you will just have the same exact signature, like some int a, int b, and and when someone calls the child like some, it will override the parents some.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you some SQL questions.
Sure.
Um, can you tell me what is a view and how would you create a view?
Sure. So a view is the display of many, more than one or many tables, and columns from different tables. So the way to create it is just get all the columns from the tables that you want to see and display it a way that you want to. You cannot change a view, you cannot override on it or update it, you cannot create new rows on it. and is very good to it's a very good tool for integration on systems that your team is not working on. So you will want them to have access to the view, but you don't want them to get access to your tables.
Okay, and what are the syntax you would use to create a view?
It will be like create view as, and then um, like what's it called, column name, um, like as no what's it called, like table that column as, like in your your syntax that you're gonna use for the name of that column, and you will do that for all the rows that you will use in that view.
Okay. Can you explain to me what is a left join?
Left join is the union or the join of uh, two tables where everything on the left is kept, and anything that's not on the on the right is discarded. So yeah,
Okay.
there's no duplicate between them.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me the difference between delete and truncate statement?
Hmm. I'm not sure what it means, but I'm assuming that when you delete an item from the, like on the database, it means it's completely gone. You get rid of that item on delete. And when you truncate an item, um, you are like you are like cutting the value of an item by a percentage of it. So let's say if you have a floating point and you're trying to put it inside an integer, you can truncate it to lose all the floating points capabilities.
Yeah. So basically, you use delete command to delete like rows in a table,
Mm-hmm.
and truncate is mostly used to delete all the rows from a table.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And in your previous projects, you were working what type of project was it? Like agile, or it's working on something else?
I worked on waterfall on my first project with what's it called, Department of Education, but the entire time I just worked with Agile. I've been working with Agile ever since then.
Okay, so you're familiar with different agile ceremonies?
Yeah, I mean sprint, epics, the point system. It's always different.
Okay, how long was your sprints in your agile project?
3 weeks, because it's 2 weeks development and then 1 week for like debugging and just doing pre-prep testing for the next round. It's kind of like 2 weeks development, and it will circle on.
Okay, and so like a story, how would you guys size a story? Was it using the Fibonacci story plan?
Yeah, I think it was Fibonacci. Yes. We use Fibonacci, but we also use the poker cards too, like A, double A, and BBs.
Got it. Okay. So when you were working at Appian, like how many story points were you averaging per sprint?
13, and yeah, 13.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. That's all I had. And I see Sahil joined earlier.
Yeah. Hey. But let me just see if Meti has more questions. Meti, do you have any questions?
Yeah, let me ask. Okay, I have one more.
Yeah.
Okay, what are stored procedures, and can you tell me?
Yeah, I never used the
How
stored
is it
procedures
useful?
on the past. Like we always do all the insert via Appian side, but my understanding of stored procedures is just like methods that you have in the SQL that will help you insert an item. It helps you manipulate them, delete them, or truncate them if you need them. Like I just learned, you can do in SQL. So that's what procedures do on the SQL side.
Okay. Um, so from Appian side, what is a process engine?
The process engine is one of several engines that are um, are running the entire time on Appian that help you update different types of like items on the table, and it helps servers pop the process engines from place to place. You wouldn't have to worry about process engines if you don't if you're running Appian on a dedicated server. If you're running Appian on your um, like your local server, then that's one of the things you have to be very careful with.
Okay. Um, do you know how the steps how to stop and start Appian servers?
Yes. I have done it with the Unix commands. Get access to the server, and you will have to say, I think it's hold underscore like dash for the name of the running server, and it has to be. I honestly don't remember the list, but it has to be like kind of like you start with the search servers first, then you do the running server is the last one, but there is like a hierarchy of how you want to turn off all the servers if you're gonna turn off Appian. Otherwise, it crashes and you're gonna lose a lot of your processing instances.
Okay, so the Tomcast server, data server engines. Do
There
you
you
know
go.
the step orders?
Yes, I used to work with them on the past. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it.
Okay. Hey, Sergio.
How's it going? How are
Um,
you?
hey, good. How are you?
Oh, cool. Finally, somebody I get to see. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was just dealing with multiple things. Um, Sergio, I also heard you say at some point a few minutes ago that you haven't worked on Java for about 3 years.
Yeah, I haven't. But I always had a passion for Java because I did all my projects and um, my like my I did mining with Java. I did like a few projects with Java. I even did what's it called, just data mining with Java as well. Even though it would have been a lot easier to use, you know um, like a different platform, like C or Sublime. What is that called? Python. Jeez, tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but
Because I see quite a few references related to Java on your resume. For example, take multi-threading, for example,
that
right?
is correct.
So
Yes,
did you implement multi-threading with Java?
that is correct. I had to implement multi-threading, especially when I was doing the competitions for data mining, where I had to grab like 3 gigabytes of data or 5 gigabytes of data, and calculated the the closest items or the clustering of of hundreds of values on it.
I
I
see.
used to
So
play
how do you implement multi-threading, Sergio, in Java? What is the class that you would use?
generate generic or something. It's like add generic. You have to go through every column, and you have to say like, oh, if it's stop one, they all have to stop. I haven't touched Appian in a minute. I mean Java in a minute. I should have refreshed before jumping into the interview, but Like I yeah like it's on the back of my mind, you know. It's like I do know that you have generic values on it, and one thing you have to implement with Java is that you want to stop some of the threadings, so that you don't have any crash or holds. You don't want to have a wait for one or wait for all issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
just
then I
don't
also
remember.
see.
Go ahead.
Okay. Then Sergio, I also see reference to web services on your resume, right?
That's
So were you just invoking these web services, or were you building them as well?
I was invoking some APIs, and also I built a lot of web services on Appian, but not so much in Java lately. No,
Okay. And are these SOAP or REST web services?
they were REST and SOA. I worked with SOA a while back, but right now it's just all RESTful.
All RESTful? Okay.
That is
Do you
correct.
know what the difference is between REST and SOAP?
I don't remember right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, no, that's fine. And then I also see reference to PL SQL. So I know that looks like that was when you were building Oracle forms,
That is
right?
correct. Yeah.
So did you write any stored procedures with PL SQL in Oracle?
The team did, because there was a data. There was data team, you know, like that would just work on SQL stuff. But you know, I had to write the descriptions of the procedures and stuff, but I haven't built procedures in the FDA team at all.
I see. So you were just invoking,
Yes, correct. I was invoking the stored procedures
and you were invoking it from Java or from Appian.
from Appian. Appian will call
I see. How do you invoke a stored procedure from Appian?
it. There is a connection to an expression rule, and you will call that expression rule that has been integrated with data source on the side. So you will call it and send the you know, you will have to create the correct rule inputs for it to implicate the right way.
I see. Okay. And in Java, do you remember how you did exception handling? Do you remember how to handle exceptions in Java?
Yeah, try catch, right? Just do the try catch. You know, you will say try to do this, um, you like this chunk of code. If you catch an IO exception or a null exception, and there's one more. It's like it's
I
try
see.
catch
So
and
what is finally used for?
oh, okay. Finally, is try catch, and finally is just when you have to do this chunk of code no matter what happens. So you will always do the finally at the end.
I see. Okay. And what is final in Java?
When I think of final, I'm thinking of a constant that cannot be updated. That's what I'm thinking of, but I can be wrong,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. And what is garbage collection?
The garbage collector on Java, it collects um, all the you know, like objects. Like let's say you create a linked list that has several nodes, and if nobody's pointing to a linked list, or you do like you know, like a linked list is pointing of it, garbage collector would mark it, and after a while it will delete it. It will collect it. So garbage collector is always running, and that's something you don't have to worry about on Java, but you do have to worry about it if you use a lower level of language like C or C++.
I see. And I also see a reference back from 2015 when you were a Java developer. You used Maven. What is Maven?
Maven works with POM.xml, and Maven it's like kind of like helps you upgrade the POM XML automatically.
Okay. And then I also see a reference to Ant on your resume under the relevant skills section. How is Ant different from Maven?
To be honest, I just remember modifying both of them, but I don't know what exactly the difference between them two are. Yeah,
Nice.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, fine. Um, and I also see a reference to synchronization in on your resume. What is synchronization?
When you try to do multi-threading, you want to synchronize the threads so that they don't run over each other.
Okay. And let's see. And looks like in your recent, well, not the most recent, but the prior one where you were handling production support tickets, right?
Yeah.
So was your primary focus at CollaboraLink Technologies? Was that primarily a production support that you were doing, and not your most recent?
No. So with CollaboraLink, I was in those three projects that you probably saw. One of them was with Department of Education. There were two with Department of Labor, and the last one was with the FDA. So the FDA was mainly production. Yes,
I see.
at that
So,
time.
did you used to go through Appian instances and figure out what was going wrong if there was a failed process instance, for example?
Yeah, we just to get tickets. So we had like support tickets, and we have what's CCR, which are like tickets that you just basically do them on like 2 week periods. Also, we had like root cause analysis. So it was kind of like first take care of production tickets, then take care of CCRs, then take care of the root cause analysis. So the production tickets, they were level 1 through 5. One being like, oh, you gotta fix this within an hour. 5, it is like you have 3 to 5 days at most to do it. So you one if you don't have any production support tickets, then you will do the the CCRs, which is just updates that we have to do that were that will have to be updates or hot fixes that will come from root cause analysis. And root cause analysis is just when you try to figure out why did this production ticket happen, what went wrong with it, was there like a floating point that is that was being inserted in an int that's not big enough. Do we need to update the size of a column or something like that?
Got it. Okay, sounds good. So, Sergio, since we just have about 10 minutes left, I want to make sure you have an opportunity for questions. So, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I would appreciate if you can tell me more about the team. What kind of work you do, what tools are you using. What if there's if I don't know which position will I be looking into, but I will want to know where on the development is doing. So I will appreciate if I can learn that a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's many questions there. So let me address them one at a time. So this is for Freddy Mac's single family business area, and the team specifically focuses on an application called QMod. It's for single family quality control support work, and we're an agile environment following agile practices, and from a technology, and we typically go live once a quarter with about 4 to 5 sprints in each release. Um, and then we also do our annual Appian upgrades. As far as technology is concerned, we recently upgraded to Appian 20.3, and so that's running on Tomcat, which you already mentioned.
So yeah,
and then our business database is Sybase, and then the metadata Appian database is DB2, and then we also have an ETL or a batch component running on Java, which is why we were asking you some Java related questions as well as DB. So basically, the work would be split between Appian development and Java development. And then the other aspect of the job is we also do rotations for production support, which is why we were asking you some prod support type or troubleshooting type questions. So basically, we don't have a separate production support team. We do the enhancement work, we do the production support work as well, and we take turns to do the prod support work.
Are you guys getting
yeah.
prod tickets? And
I'm sorry?
Are you guys getting prod tickets right now?
Yeah. So we use ServiceNow for our prod incidents, and then what we do is we typically have rotations on a daily basis. So no one gets bogged down with production support. That's kind of our model.
That's very
And
cool.
then yeah, and then in terms of team dynamics or team size, I suppose, we have as of right now we have 6 developers, we have 2 systems analysts, 3 testers, 1 scrum master, and then myself. I'm the development manager, and then we have let's see, 3 business ops / product owner /